Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLEU. Our final game is just around the corner, and it's been a bit of a quicker night, of course, owing to the fact that we had a fast game earlier on. However, the last one, a little bit closer, Oliver. This one, though, with Wombats and Tanks in what seems to be very, very good form, we might see this going, again, heavily in their favour.
Yeah, I mean, Wombats have been so far unstoppable with a 5-0 result against Strong Siema. Looking at Strong Siema's performance, though, wasn't exactly impressive, so this could be a closer game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, and Utopia, to bear in mind as well, have been looking okay. I mean, a game against Casner Crew was okay.
5-3 result. I mean, they look pretty strong.
The Ghost Town was
considering how well they played today, just lend themselves to be, like Utopia's doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, what Utopia brought in that game, quite simply, was they took a game off a round off Casner on Muravanka, and they got both of the Ghost Town rounds. Exactly. So definitely, we have been saying for a while that is a bit like their home ground. They look very strong in that one. They haven't opted to pick that one against Wombats on Tanks, though, as well. Maybe fearing what they can do as well. Obviously, they're Russian-speaking opposition here. So we do see actually more open maps than closed ones. Ruenberg is going to be coming up first here. But then after that, we have Prohorovka, Mines, and Steps.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ruenberg for me is a void map because, the likelihood that you're going to win on defense on defense is very high, and the chance of you winning on attack is going to be pretty low. So, for me, I would personally remove it from the map pool because it seems a little bit pointless. But, both these two teams, obviously, they're thinking more about which maps they're banning than the ones they're picking in many respects. So, Ruenberg might just be a result of that kind of mentality.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, we haven't really seen anyone go 2-0 on Ruenberg yet.
No, we've only seen it, I think, 3 times last season. So, I mean, I don't expect to see it too many times this season either. Yeah,
and I mean, a team against Utopia, a team like Utopia, they're quite solid. I think they're not monkeys when it comes to this game as well. So I think, on a map like this, I wouldn't be surprised, just so you guys are prepared for the eventuality that we're going to see a 1-1. But then I'll be interested to see how things open up with these more open maps. Utopia favoured Steps quite heavily, actually, last season. They enjoyed playing that one as well. They always, would have a Papa playing a 59-16 or a small tank as well on Steps and really be hard to deal with. The way Steps works out is a little bit different now. Wombats and Tanks surely would have something planned for that as well. They're professionals, they say it themselves, and they are justified in saying that as well. No one is going to snicker at the implication that they are, because they quite frankly are there. They've spent a lot of time practicing throughout the week, and it shows. I mean, they obviously are our Season 1 for 2015 and 2016 champions. Rumble in the West, they just lost it at the end of it. So, I mean, it's hard not to put them out as a clear favourite. So, I will have to ask as well, as the votes do go up as well from Millie, what our initial reactions are, of course, as Wombats and Tanks are a team that most people should be familiar with, and most people would probably put their vote behind here.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, the vote online, it was 100% again for a long time. Yep. Now it dropped down to 94%, which is still a lot. And people at home, if you haven't voted yet, head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU, to get involved, because voting may win you a bonus code. By predicting the exact scoreline for this matchup, you get a chance of winning a bonus code containing 500 gold and 8 days of premium. And the only thing you have to do is make up a number, pretty much, because you can't see in the future. Well, sure. I can't, at least. If you can, you should definitely take part, because then, well, a bonus code might come your way, most definitely. But yes, the 5 fastest correct predictions will be rewarded, and there is a vote on Twitter as well. So head over to @WGLEU on Twitter. Follow us, of course, and use the hashtag WGLEU to get involved and to join the discussion. Also, if you have questions, fire them right away, just as Eric did, one of our awesome mods in Twitch chat. There was a discussion earlier. It was the question came up if the rules for the Gold Series are the same in all regions.
Well, I'm not really involved with any regions unless there's an event. So, I mean, the only one I'm really responsible for would be Europe. So I'm not exactly sure, but I'm 99.9% sure it's going to be the same for Russia and CIS. North America often do their own kind of thing, so they might be different there. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything. Asia's probably going to be the same, I imagine. But I mean, it makes no sense to have different formats in different regions, because it's supposed to be the Wargaming League, not the World of Tanks League or whatever. And when it comes down to the grand finals, like if you're playing even like 770 or something at the grand finals, and then you're having to go towards what all the other regions are doing, you're going to be at such a massive disadvantage. You're just, shooting yourself in the foot.
And I know from having casted a fair bit of the Asian stuff as well, or played in it, that they do try and follow a global format as well, all over the world. So I expected that America will be quite similar to us.
That was actually the main point of discussion, that that we had some NA players in Twitch chat. Thank you for joining us at this point. It must be way early or late at where you're watching from. Early. Well, depends on what. Well, if you have been sleeping before.
Yeah, well, it'll be like end of morning or something.
Exactly, but we had some NA players stating differences. So differences are possible, but the regions are trying to keep the rules as similar as possible. As Ollie said, when it comes to big events, everyone should come from the same corner.
Ideally.
To have.
There hasn't really been. I haven't heard any news from anyone. So I mean, if an NA player wants to talk to me on Skype or give me a tweet or DM on Twitter about what the changes are going to be for North America, I'd be super interested in that. So yeah.
All right, well, let's jump in. Rulenberg to start things off. We could probably actually keep the conversation going if we really wanted to, because we probably know how this one is going to work out in the end. But for the sake of clarity, we'll jump straight in. And the Wombats on tanks will be starting on the attacking side here. And it's a mouse for Papa.
Yeah, first time we've seen a mouse. Me and Alex, Famir, one of the observers and community manager for World of Tanks, we were talking about this yesterday. We were wondering when the mouse was going to be finally featured, but today is that day. And as you said, defensive side is where it's going to be used, and it's just a massive beast. 3,000 hit points, the most in the game of any tank.
What in the Type 5 heavy?
Type 5 heavy's 2,800, I believe, so slightly less. And well, what was it, 193 tons of pure German steel. Never really gone into production, only a couple were made, but still, it's not as a durable tank as a lot of people would imagine, because you can see the side of this is just a barn door. Very easy to hit, very flat, so you're not going to bounce that much if the player knows how to play. Yeah,
very flat sides. No angling on them at all, and obviously the lower glacis is a little bit hard to hit, but you can penetrate through there. I think my first ace tanker game was with a mouse, so it is pretty damn good. Got reasonable rate of fire, I think, that mouse as well.
Yeah,
not
I mean,
a massive gun, but
the gun is phenomenal. I mean, super. It's actually pretty good turret traverse considering how heavy it must be. Probably weighs the same as the T62A. Gun is really accurate, very good on the move. I mean, it's such a solid firing platform. It's really good.
So how is he going to go against Kusok in the artillery then? Obviously, they've been picked up for Wombats on the attacking side, which is not uncommon, but look where he's sitting on that.
Yeah, he's sitting all the way into the middle, so he's got good view. I mean, we saw the artillery position the same as I think another team used it yesterday. I can't exactly remember who the player was. At the moment, it's not going well for Just Cause. He falls, he gets sitting in the middle of the map, not really doing much, but of course Kusok and that artillery will have to make up for that. And the mouse is kind of out of the game right now. It's not actually in a position to get shot by the artillery.
Wombats are getting trounced here. I mean, look how low Bishop is, already having lost Just Cause. We've been sort of discussing like casually over the top of this what would sort of be going on, but the fact of the matter is Wombats are way, way, way behind. Sure, there's a mouse on the field, so you got to take that into account as the amount of health points it has, but they're just... What is this positioning from them? It's so strange.
It's pretty passive positioning. I mean, they're hoping the artillery does some work here, but the T62A, which is what Kusok has been trying to shoot the whole time, is only at half HP. The M40, M43, not accurate tank at all. So yeah, I mean, as long as Dasher is alive, it's not going to be possible for Wombats to win this.
It's taken far too long to get rid of him as well. Look at him, he's been here all round as well, and that's why so much damage is coming out from him, because he's looking towards Coca-Cola, he's looking towards Bishop, and there's not really anyone directly threatening him with the exception of Kusok. So just keep moving, just keep poking over, keep those tanks looking in two directions. Look, he's lit them again, gets a finish on Bishop. It all just seems too easy, and we talked about how hard the attacking side is on this map, and I don't know, definitely does seem difficult. Again, just
Dasher's not even spotted anymore.
No.
He's just free shots, easy to do. You can see Coca-Cola's trying to find an angle, but Dasher just... Unbelievable how many shells he's just got for free on the side of Coca-Cola. It's a bit of a shame we can't see the damage he's done so far. And yeah, and Utopia just going to push forwards now. They got everything going for them, basically.
And the mouse trundles forward ever so slowly. I mean, good idea to have him in the north as well, because teams often try and push through and take out that tank that's left there quickly. There's no killing a mouse quickly. It just doesn't happen. Not with 1 or 2 tanks anyway. So there's a bounce there as well, and Breakneck's like, well, I have 1 shot left, and I probably should get out of dodge. He does at least make the hit. But again, Kareet's now going to get caught as well. Shuki going in there. Wombats almost seeming like they weren't really interested in playing the attacking side here, just giving it up for lost before it even started. You can see they weren't even really doing much towards Desha, who's still alive, by the way, and is still doing damage and is still being a pain in the rear. Kareet's going to be surrounded out here. Kusok will be found in due time, probably not by the mouse, as Papa has only taken 1 hit for the whole game. So, and we see why he picked him up, but it wasn't really the difference in this game at all.
No, exactly. I mean, he didn't do anything, as you mentioned. Good position to put him up in the north, because he could have survived for a very, very long time, regardless of what tank really went up against him. It would have been a too fast tank, so he would have been on survivor clip, and a 251 or whatever would have been very... well, an AMX-39 will basically not be able to penetrate it, apart from on the back of that opening you can see there on the back of the turret. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing we said at the beginning of the match, right? I mean, what's the point of playing Ruinberg? There's no point, because the defense is just easy and the attack is hard. So it looks like Wombats is aware of that. Didn't get the kill onto Desha at the beginning with the artillery piece, Kusok, and yeah, just going to be going on the defensive side to secure that.
Whoa, I mean, yeah, 1-1 would be the expected result coming out of that one. And of course, with the rest being open maps as well, we probably wouldn't expect things to be so slow after that one, but not really too surprised to see that result there as well. Desha, unsurprisingly, with top damage.
Yeah, 4,300 damage. I mean, it's insane. It's truly insane how much damage he did there. 2 kills as well. Free reign, great player, new player to Utopia, so good to see him actually. Bit of a weird replay there, just cue up the old strong CM. Oops.
Anyway.
So, yeah, I mean, we were basically a similar situation. What got wrecked?
Yep, absolutely. So, I don't know. Yeah, Ruinberg not really giving us anything convincing. I think in the first few weeks as well, teams will undoubtedly be wanting to look at this quite seriously, because that one team that's going to be able to win attacking rounds with any kind of consistency, whether that's a real possibility or not remains to be seen. But if that ever were to be the case, then they're gonna have such an advantage in these matches, picking that map, winning the defensive round and the attacking round, already putting themselves at such a lead. But even Wombats on tanks can't do it, so you can't have too much faith for everyone else to be able to do the same.
But also, you know, even if they do win the attack and the defense, it's not like in 754 where you would have, you know, basically lost the match. You know, you still have a chance. You go on the next map and you win your map. So, I mean, like, Ruinberg is truly useless, in my opinion. But, yeah, we have to see. Maybe Utopia got something up their sleeves, and to be honest, it would put Wombats a little bit of disadvantage, and also, you know, mentally wouldn't have particularly been in the game if they had lost this one. So we're just waiting for my man, Ubershout, to log in. Obviously disconnected from the game for some reason. But yeah, I'm looking for this one to be a Wombats win here on the defense side of Ruinberg, then just moving on to Prokhorovka.
You don't seem pleased at all with Ruinberg, do you?
No, I don't see the point. I feel like wasting my time right now with Ruinberg. I mean, it's a wasting my time like the whole of last season on Ruinberg with 754. Then there was a reason for that, because it was one of the only maps that's continued the map pool. But there is a specific line in the rulebook that says if a map is, if we look at the meta in the map is just simply not viable, then we'll remove it. So maybe that's what some of the wargaming guys are going to be looking at on Ruinberg. I have no idea.
All right, well, that remains to be seen. For now, we're still going to see these teams go at it on that particular map. I've managed to at least rejoin the lobby, and we'll be jumping in just a moment here. So, I mean, the mouse seemed like a pretty simple decision to take that one. I tried to touch on it a bit earlier. I mean, can you really add any extra light to that, or is it just to try and be a very hard tank to shift in the north? Yeah,
it'd be hard to shift. I mean, it basically will, first of all, be really hard to kill.
Yep.
Second of all, it can just block a whole passage up the north. I mean, it could just, no tank can push it, no one tank. You know, you need quite a few heavy tanks to be able to push that away, or just, you know, an E50M or something, a couple of them. So, you know, it can stop nice alleyways for teams to go through. I guess, of course, the problem would be its gun depression is not great. Right. So, you know, if you have a Batchat right next to it, you know, the Batchat will be able to shoot it for free.
Yep.
But then the mouse can just turn it, you know, it can get itself into situations where it can push the Batchat, you can ram it into a building which the Batchat will not be able to escape from, that kind of thing, you know. So, I don't know, I think I think it was a good choice. Wasn't tested. I would have loved to see like a Wombats on tank push up north to see what would have actually happened to that mouse and see if it was 100% viable, or if if Wombats have a clever way of dealing with it.
Sure. Well, we may never know here, of course, as we go on to our second half here on Ruinberg. Having a look at the tank picks here as well. Nothing really standing out to us too much, with the exception of maybe Kareed's picking up a 5100 here as a tier 8 tank. Outside of that, 50Bs, Object 140s, and a lightweight.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same kind of tank lineup. I mean, you mentioned Kareed's, 150 AMX 5100. 113, interesting pick. I know that in 9.13 it's going to be changed. I think a mixture of buffs and nerfs at the same time. I think it's like gun will be made better, but it might be slightly slower, or the other way around. I'm not sure exactly. I just had a quick glance through the patch notes today. But I know that I got the impression reading it that the 113 will be made slightly better. So we'll have to see how that works out. Of course, I mean, I played it a lot when it was first released. I thought it was a pretty middle of the road kind of tank. We've seen it once already on Himmelsdorf as a kind of hull down tank, because it's pretty effective on the hill, being such a compact vehicle with a decent amount of turret armor.
Well, Coca-Cola pushing forward in that 113 on the north, and towards the north, actually, a lot of attention here for Utopia. They're going to go towards Kusok. So Kusok now, that was where the mouse was sort of supposed to be used by Utopia last time around. Kusok, well, let's see if he can sustain this one now. So a lot of damage is coming through, but not all of it really connecting. Kusok does take one hit finally. Kareetz is there in support, but now he's starting to get hammered as well. A lot of damage coming in from the side, and that's not working out for Wombats at all. They lose Kusok before these tanks even get there. And Utopia have a lot of control over the north. I'd say Kareetz would have to be very, very careful. He's not spotted at least, but he's going to stay there for the moment. This is going to require an immediate response from Wombats and tanks, but the north cap is now in control of Utopia.
Yeah, this is, unbelievable. The fact that Kusok decided to drive through the middle of a field and get taken out in that T110, and Wombats just sitting all the way over to the right side. I mean, what the hell is going on here? A 113 and a 140 on its own. Just strange stuff.
I don't get it. Wicked now pushing in. At least there's a forward tank there to try and attract some attention towards him as his capture is underway. 3 tanks are on there, 3 of them, and nothing's really been done here by Virtus.pro to stop it, because look at where the fight's happening. Coca-Cola going towards Mooka. He's going to go down. Just Cos gets caught out, and Virtus.pro, they poop the bed.
Yeah, I mean, this is just unbelievable. I didn't expect this to happen at all. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what Wombats and tanks are thinking right now. They're still in this game, to be fair to them, but they've lost 2 tier 10 tanks. It's just disastrous.
Game over. Capture's done. Take control of the north side. This used to be the way to win last season. Have control of the north there and move in towards a cap. Yeah, it's funny. We were just talking about this beforehand. Maybe we're waiting to see if some team can get that sort of winning attack round on Ruinberg. It makes a big deal, but that shouldn't have happened.
No, that was. I don't know what Wombats are doing there, to be honest. I have no clue. I mean, when we say you shouldn't get the attacking round Ruinberg, we say when you're not suiciding tier 10 tanks into open spaces. So yeah, that's the kind of mentality there. This, on the attacking side, wasn't the Wombats we're used to. Now on the defensive side, still not the Wombats we're used to. Of course, next map is a different story. Not sure.
We saw very similar behaviour from Wombats and tanks when they went up against Synergy last season.
Yeah.
Lost 5-1 to a team that they shouldn't have lost to. It's a very strange thing. We see these random games popping in and out, like here and there, where they just don't get it done. And well, Wombats made a statement after losing the Synergy saying they just outstratted us here, but this isn't a counter strat. This is Kusok getting caught in the open, and then Wombats just pushing in 2v4.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, they put themselves in the cap, easy stuff, and yeah, I mean, no pressure at all. Medium tanks. I mean, it's really obvious that Utopia is going to go up north. Kusok got caught out just driving straight across the middle, and you can see as well, I mean, the straight 0 line positioning from Wombats is really weird.
Only 2 of Wombats' tanks got more than 1,000 damage across the line. 2 of their tanks did 0 damage. Kareetz and Bishop did absolutely nothing. Povell hit 1 shot. Kusok hit 1 shot. I don't know, man. That makes absolutely no sense to me at all. I really don't know what to say there. From our winner of Season 1, from our second place team, Rumble of Continental Rumble, teams that rocks up to lane and just dominates there, that shouldn't happen, and I am a very disappointed caster right now.
I mean, for me, this is either Wombats just not caring about Ruinberg, maybe just wanting to play on the next map, Prokhorovka, Cliff, whatever. But yeah, I mean, unusual for me. Like Wombats and Tanks signifies and represents steadiness, consistency, professionalism in every single game, and throwing a game like that is just not normal for them. So, I mean, that's worse than what we've seen from teams that are way, way below their level.
Yeah, that's right. There are some basics in Ruinberg that most teams sort of adhere to or at least understand. So that's out the way. 2 rounds going over towards Utopia already. So it's going to require a lot from Wombats and Tanks to bring this one back now. Over to Prokhorovka. Not a map that I would really go nuts about Wombats on Tanks for, really. We didn't see it last season, so very hard to say. It's been brought back in just now. I don't even know if they played it in their last match either.
No, they didn't. No. I mean, I guess if we look at like the history of Virtus Pro, which is Wombats and Tanks now, and Prokhorovka, they had like a 14, I think 14 wins in a row in Season 2 or something like that on Prokhorovka, but that was 742, so it's of course a different board game. And I think they might have lost one in the finals as well. But I mean, this team has been super solid on this map, but we haven't seen it in 754, which is closer to 768 than 754 and 768 742, I guess, in some respects. But yeah, I mean, Wombats just need to get themselves sorted.
Yep, a team that can be affected by tilt. I think they really get in that position that brings on the tilt itself. So really don't know. We're going to jump in though to this one now. Of course, Prokhorovka's the map. I've talked about this a few times already. You guys have seen a few different strategies coming out from it. Often the push towards the north, the western cap is kind of the prevalent one here. Train line splits things up. Some teams might just want to push into each other on the eastern side on the western side of the map as well. So that might be the possibility here. Obviously coming from the north in red is Wombats. They're defending here. Karit's already going wide, already being spotted. And the rest of them just look to want to group up here and maybe just do some fighting.
Yeah, I think... I mean, I like the movement from Wombats is a lot better. They're on the right side, and of course, Kazan did the same thing today, and it was very effective. And I think Wombats have to start trading effectively. Muka goes first in the 113. Probably be able to bounce a little bit. Got good side armor, good space armor in that 113. But yeah, good damage at the start here for Wombats.
Yep, Desha takes a bit as well. They're going to push over towards him now as well. It looks like Utopia really want to fight. Wombats want to find them and just go for it now. Hallucinogen taking a lot of damage, so Wombats have taken no damage quite yet as well. They're just avoiding a lot of it here. Hallucinogen already very low. Super bad start from Utopia now, really not connecting any shots. The focus fire for the Wombats has been pretty good.
It's been great right now. They're doing perfect damage, they're in the great positions. I think Wombats should be able to just push through and finish this game off as quickly as possible. But Utopia starting to dwindle in HP. Hallucinogen though, good shots from the side, but he's almost a one-shot. Creeps in the background as well, will be able to go in, but Just Cause with a charging strike right into the middle, does good work. And, finds a couple. Yeah,
but he takes so much damage in response. He just goes out on his own. He just makes an object of himself now. Health points fairly similar here. Muka and Bishu are surrounded though by a lot of tanks, but Wicked and Shookyou off on the side can reply with some of this back now. Still, everything hangs in the balance, but Breakneck getting a bit of focus on him. Bishu also going down to that one shot, but Papa Fancies a 1v1 against Breakneck. Everyone's sort of splitting off from the main pack now and having their own little brawls on the periphery. Here's Wicked and Povell. You can see Papa and Coca-Cola going head-to-head. You know that 62A is going to win that one. Karitsa's off in the background. Papa's down to 3 health. Wicked now as well. Not sure who to fire at. I think Wombats looking a little bit better here, no doubt about it, but Povell and Karitsa are quite low, but Coca-Cola is still full health on that 62A. Wicked now has to deal with 2 tanks. Shookyou is on reload, I'd say, so yeah, not much you can do there, unfortunate for him. So I think Utopia will fall in this one here as well, but another one that went really quite close.
Yeah, and Shookyou's actually on off reload right now. I mean, he's going to be able to find Karit's bare minimum. Oh no, he doesn't find that shell, so he's going to fall here to Karitz as he just comes around that corner. Easy shell for him. Oh, but nice shell for Shookyou, actually. Very lucky, some would say. But yeah, a very messy round there for Wombats. I think they won that basically because they did great damage at the beginning onto the IS-7, the 113. And then they charged in. Execution was bad, but they finally got it done because of that initial advantage.
I think once it gets to that point in the round, you can see that the enemy team is just going to push you and not going to give you a chance to set up like this. Look at the effort that Utopia are putting in just to get to grips with the Wombats right now. Muka's up the front. Dekker's on the move as well. They're just going literally from east to west, trying to just jump on their face. And fair enough, I guess. And Wombats, when you're in that position as well, you got to go, okay, they just want to fight. Well, let's just fight. We've got so much free damage. They came to us. We fired. They fired, but they missed because they're on the move. And now we're ahead. Let's just go for the fight. Let's just get our hands dirty and get it done. I don't know. Weird from Utopia there. Maybe they just don't like Prohorovka. Maybe they just want to avoid that the whole strategy. Oh, this is a weird game, Oliver. It's just weird in general.
Yeah, it's a strange game. But yeah, Coca-Cola with 4.4k damage,
Wow.
5 kills of his own. Fantastic work from that man. Of course, he was the last
Huge game.
man standing for Wombats on Tanks, one of the highest damage we've seen this season so far. But yeah, now moving on to the defensive side, the attacking side, even the slightly harder side, I think, Wombats. They'll need to play better than that if they want to win this round, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know what Utopia are going to be bringing here on Prohorovka outside of what we saw already from them this season, which was like that more heavy tank-focused approach there. I mean, the same things here. We're seeing the 113, we're seeing the IS-7 both being brought in. So, a little bit more heavy than a lot of teams tend to go for. Most just go for that lone IS-7 in some cases, especially for defensive setups as well. It's not uncommon to see that. But throwing the 113 there in the mix is interesting, and then they went for a brawl, and not playing to their strengths, I'd like to feel, with their lineup and the way that they were sort of getting quite aggressive and coming forward there. So, tank picks just being done right now. And Wombats on Tanks, Virtus Pro, seem to be favouring these T62As there as well after Coca-Cola having an excellent game.
Yeah, the T62A, good hold down. We saw Tornado yesterday with the 140s. But I think the T62A, marginally worse rate of fire. It's slightly slower, in many respects, but
Sure.
I think it's basically got the same gun. It's got the same gun as a 140, so technically it should not be that much different. But still, T62 again with that turret armor is the reason why these teams are picking them over the 140, and even though the 140's got slightly better gun depression.
Yep.
But here we go. Let's see if Wombats can put a convincing round on the board. If Utopia's going to take advantage of this rare turn of form for them.
Yeah, or this rare occurrence of them winning an attacking round on Runeberg as well. Like I said, to get ahead in this format, you need to win both rounds on any particular map, and Utopia have already done it on probably the hardest map to do that on here as well. So, that helps. It propels you forward, but you can't let your guard down, especially against a team like Wombats and Tanks, who one round seem amazing and one round seem absolutely dreadful. So, we'll have to see now. Utopia, 2 IS-7s for them here. Going for, again, maybe not the 113, but double IS-7 is heavier than we usually expect to see. 2 E50s in the mix here as well. A lot of T62As coming out from Wombats and breakneck with an STB.
Yeah, so interesting lineup for Wombats. We haven't seen so many T62As this season, but I think it could work out well. Personally, I prefer Utopia's tank lineup. They've got 600 more HP, more armor, more flexibility in a lot of respects. So, I don't know. I don't know which one I would go for, but I have to see it can actually work out for them. Pushing themselves over the train tracks, and Utopia setting themselves on the right side. Good prediction that the T62As would probably just fight straight across the middle, so they don't have to worry about the higher ground you can get from the southern cap start. Kusok, Povel, making their way towards that train line perhaps on their own. And this looks like a classic east-west setup for Prohorovka.
Yeah, and Wombats and Tanks have actually made the way up quite far north already in the piece here. Oftentimes it takes teams a little bit of a while to actually get to that point or to go there. So they're set up here. Utopia on the other side are mostly close together, and they're actually using the center part of the map more. So not having to worry about hull down as well. Obviously E50 probably not stunning at that one. Bishop being lit. You can see Papa is lit as well. So these teams will maybe trade blows at length for a little bit. The RU-251 of Karit will probably go and start this cap as well. Note that there's no tanks in the north for Utopia. No tanks that can sort of hull over and come close. And also no tanks that really have great gun depression or hull down ability here as well. So we might see a little bit of a different flavour come into effect now as the round continues and Wombats start this cap.
Yeah, exactly. So pressure started for Wombats. Classic setup for them as well. They got this defensive line ready to receive anything that Utopia has to go forward. Papa receiving a shell there. E50, of course, not particularly strong from the side or the turret. But yeah, right now Wombats are winning. This is a lot more consistent for them. Kusok is receiving 760 HP for some reason. But yeah, good setup, good start for them. It's on. The onus is on Utopia to push forwards. They are now heading across the north. That's wicked, but it's still they have to get to that point about 60-70 meters away from Crease, just in front of that rock, to get this reset.
Doesn't look like a great spot to be in an E50, really. Very average. And Mooker as well is set up in the south here as well. I'd probably rather have the role swap there and have Mooker in the north, but can't always have it the way you want. The cap's been stopped here though, interestingly enough, from Virtus Pro, and it was Karit's not even really being spotted as far as I know, just pulling off the cap. So maybe another plan here. Maybe they saw Forbidden come forward and they just want to get him off the map. You know, lure one tank into the trap, collapse on them, deal with them. But damage trades haven't really been that great for Wombats here. Kusok's kind of low, and so is Breakneck. They've taken a fair bit of a beating here. And then maybe not thinking about this cap so much anymore.
No, I mean, again, you know, Forbidden being in that position, impossible to dig out unless they fully push onto him. So I think that's probably the right play for Wombats to send that 2-5-1 back. But yeah, now Utopia winning, you said it perfectly. I mean, they were winning the trades through the train lines. Of course, Utopia being very close to train lines, they have a lot easier job to shoot through them and hit than the other way around for Wombats. So now Wombats have to go forwards. They have to, you know, either choose the north or south. Of course, you know, they know Papa's up north in E50. I think that's Papa at least. So the south is the obvious choice. Get control over some of that train line, get the peaks, and start getting some of that HP back.
Kasna were in this position themselves, actually, where they failed to get the cap going. Hyber pushed across and died in an IS-7, and then they all just came forward with those T-62, with the actually STBs they had at the time, came forward and just got good damage down and won it in the long game here. But I don't really know if Wombats really want to do that at all. They're splitting off a little bit, two towards the north, and Povell and Bishop heading towards the rest of the team in the south here. Might draw across the K-line, maybe try and get an overmatch, but still kind of risky here because Utopia have that middle ground, they have the flat ground, they have the high ground as well. It's one of the highest points on the map with the exception of the hill behind them. So they can see a lot of what's going on. It's only those undulations, those defilades, those small hills that Wombats really have to protect themselves now as well, especially if they're spotted. So Forbidden as well wants to try and do that as much as he can. He's far forward and he knows there's still a lot of safety for him in that position. So he's not really nervous. He wants to be there. He wants to be a presence and always be lighting people up there. Mooka takes one hit from Coca-Cola, who just trying to hit whatever he can right now as he waits for the rest of Wombats to decide where they're going to go.
Yeah, that was a good shot there by the T62A. So, you know, I think Povell can continue to go forwards. Coca-Cola continue doing damage. You got Creets there as well. You got a couple of shots into Mooka. So, you know, you're talking about a decent amount of damage onto that STV1 that you can actually take it down in one volley with 3 or 4 tanks. So that's the possibility for Wombats. The I7 of Forbidden slightly out of position, so for me I would actually just push. You keep an RU251 and A3, so when that I7 pushes over the middle, you could shoot the back of it, you could shoot the weak end of it, and you know, eventually you're going to take it down with some more support from the STB1s in the middle. So that's what I expect Wombats to do in the next few seconds. No pressure though, and 4 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock until, you know, Wombats will end up losing this one.
I'm almost convinced that Wicked's done pretty much no damage here. He's has to roll over the top and actually take a shot. And well, he's probably just trying to spot right now. But here's Coca-Cola and Just Cause. They're moving up in those 62As towards the middle of the map. Be surprised if they pushed off already. But Desha's there. He can actually come forward and put some damage down. Just Cause takes a big hit from him. But now also in the south as well. Virtus.pro pushing up. They're pushing Utopia back into their own territory. They just need to be careful. They will need to do this as a group here. And the responsive fire is very, very good from Utopia. Bishop and Povell, a bit of a beating going their way. But, I don't know. I really... Wombats might struggle a little bit to come forward here. I think Utopia have a good, comfortable position. But Wombats aren't capping. They're not putting any pressure down. Povell and Bishop trying to make ends meet over here. Good double tap towards Shukyu. We'll take that. They've got to be careful for any fire coming back in response.
Yeah, but Kusok's almost a one-shot, Breakneck's almost a one-shot. They are losing those exchanges up in the middle. So, yeah, damage exchanges are severely in favor of Utopia. Kusok goes down 6.4k to 8.8k. Now, you know, Utopia is starting to edge themselves ahead here. Good defensive positions, not that much time left on the clock. Peaks are going very well in the city. And, you know, Wombats really need a decisive move. I would have even put, if I was going to play this tactic from Wombats, I would have put Kusok on the artillery so they can soften these targets up over the train line.
Well, shots still being traded back and forth here, but you can see that Virtus.pro, having lost Kusok there in that 62A, now have far less control than they did before. Forbidden has taken one hit, and just the one. Desha, 2 for him, but still been sustaining through so much of this damage here. That armored core of Utopia, those 2 IS-7s there have been very, very important for them, just to stave off Wombats and also put them off any sort of ideas that, you know, in terms of coming forward and trying to get aggressive and go for just like a quick and dirty fight. So Wombats have been forced into trying to play the long game, and with these two IS7s still up here, I'd say it's all but impossible. They have to really nail them. They have to be a big mistake from these IS7s for Wombats to get the win.
Yeah, for sure. And, 3,300 to 7,000 damage here. Wombats are pretty much battered and bruised. They have no options to go anywhere. Bishop's a one-shot, Just Cause a one-shot, Breakneck's a one-shot, and Karitsa's a one-shot. So only 2 tanks, Povl and Coca-Cola, theoretically not one-shots for every single tank on Utopia's side. Apart from, of course, maybe the Batchat, no, the E50. I don't know. They're all one-shots, basically. So, yeah, Wombats, no options left, no HP left. And, Utopia can either just decide to go forwards and win this game straight out, or they can just sit here and wait for that timer.
Wombats really don't have much time either. Less than sub 2 minutes is bad news in this format, especially when so many. Well, in fact, the enemy has every single one of their tanks still up here. It's just not enough time to chase them down as well. Even if Wombats, with some miraculous divine intervention, managed to get ahead here and actually be able to go on the aggressive, it still doesn't mean that they'll be able to chase down all these tanks from Utopia. There's 7 still up. They're spread out. And the Wombats are just going to await their fate here as well. I think Utopia are more than happy to just let them stew for a bit.
Yeah, 1 minute and 20 seconds left. We're just simply waiting now for the inevitable to happen. And we're moving on to our next map, which is going to be Mines, and then steps after that one. So, yeah, 1 minute and 10 seconds. I think Wombats might try one concert to push over the south. Breakneck does take down Wicked, so nice little kill up there. Muka starting to fall as well, so at least at the end of this game, Wombats are starting to get control a little bit, but they seem to have lacked that individual play. No, not the individual play, I guess the coordinated play, which requires a win here on the attack.
And if anything's happening now, it's just far too late. 43 seconds left in this one. Perhaps for them a chance to discuss here, but Utopia go up 3-1 here. And only losing that one round purely because they sort of went so aggressive in. It's not a good sign for the Wombats at all. Still two maps left of sort of regular time here. Possible for the Wombats to bring it back, but for one game to be so damn good, go the 5-0, an absolute stunning performance, to this is crazy for them, really. And Utopia are a true team. They've performed as a unit for quite some time, and no one doubts them coming in here. In fact, if there's any team that I think will be the one to get the upsets against those top teams, it's them.
Yeah.
But Wombats are upsetting themselves. They're upsetting me a bit too.
Yeah, Wombats should be winning this one right now. Maybe they're just off form for today. 0 seconds. It does take down Utopia, put another round on the board. They're third now, with Wombats only on one very, very close marginal win when they were on the easiest side on Prokhorovka. So, yeah, what can we say? Not much. From the very get-go, Wombats were losing the peaks, the exchanges. It went back and back in terms of HP. Wombats going forwards, trying to take as much damage as possible. And Karitsa did the highest damage for Wombats on tanks, 2.8k. Bishu with 2.6k. But in general, a very low HP, a very low damage done round.
If that was in the RU251 as well. Top damage in that tank. Kusok did 600 odd, Just Cause did 800 odd. 4 players with less than a K damage as well. It wasn't as like, it was kind of hard to find that damage as well, because Utopia, when they have to play passive, they're very good at it. They're very good at sitting back and just letting an opponent push in towards them. 3 rounds already on the board here, though, and bearing in mind that's how many they got against Casino Cruz. So already doing quite well as opposed to, their last performance. They've had 2 tough games to start things off, there's no doubt about it. But to get 1 win out of these 2 would be incredible stuff. We talked about the voting melee earlier on tonight. It started off at 100 for Wombats on takes, went down to 94 now. Their performance they definitely don't look like the same team, or not performing at the same level as recently. Does this really affect the standings at all, or are people still backing them for a late resurgence?
Absolutely, it does definitely affect the standings, because the vote adapted to it and it dropped down to 74%. Mm-hmm. And yes, therefore 26 for Utopia. People, the vote is over. Thank you very much for getting involved. The next vote will be up on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. But you can still get involved by using the hashtag WGLEU over at Twitter. And also, if you have questions, do send them our way. I'll try to get you your answers. And of course, Twitch chat. Join our Twitch chat. And, people are happy to help there as well. So we have a really cool chat there. Thanks to all keeping it clean and nice there in there. And also don't forget to follow our YouTube channel, of course. It's youtube.com/WGLEU. Follow it. to get notified as soon as we upload new video content as in VODs.
Yes, of course, and we always do try and get those uploaded pretty much as soon as we can after the show, so they're available for your perusal later on. Obviously, Oliver stays back for a couple of hours and does a bit of work while I head off home, so that's what happens when you're
home at 1:30. It's great.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're also running a bit of the show as well. Obviously, Oliver behind the scenes is also getting things done at a managerial level as well, so it's always nice to have him come down and do some casting with me, but he has the big jobs to do. Now, mine is the next map. I don't really want to make any predictions anymore. I've been stung. I've been burnt already by putting my support behind Wombats on tanks, and it's rare that they really do this to us here. But I mean, what are your thoughts, having seen what we've seen so far?
Well, the last time I had this feeling is when Wombats was playing Synergy, where I've been watching Wombats for so long when they were known as Red Aces in the Star Ladder League, and that's. I'm always fairly confident looking at them in every round. I kind of have the idea what they want to play, how they're going to play, what kind of movements they're going to do, who's going to be a top performer, who's going to be a consistent performer, that kind of feeling. And when this occasional upset happens, I don't know what to think anymore. Right now, Utopia have been better every single time round. The one round Wombats have, in terms of the victory, is just a very sloppy engagement where they got early peaks and they won it via that. So, yeah, right now I don't know what to think.
Well, you're probably not the only one here. Mine's it is, and Wombats are on the attacking side here, going for what seems like a bit more of that brawly lineup. 2 T-54s are in the mix as well. They're going to head towards the hill straight away, and Breakneck at least should be able to beat most of this damage because those Batchats aren't even loaded. I tell a lie, he still takes 946. At least some damage is going to be coming back from Virtus Pro here. Shuki takes a shot. Another one towards Mooka as well. They do fancy a bit of a brawl here by the looks, and Mooka getting punished there really bad.
Yeah, Wombats have gone pretty aggressive at the beginning, so they might have the advantage in that. Breakneck on the hill, though, almost a one-shot, and Shuku actually coming off reload, might be able to find him any second now. 462, Shuku still alive somehow behind that rock. And he's just going backwards and forwards, but Wombats 1,000 hit points almost ahead here, 800 hit points in the lead, and I would say with the better positions.
Well, it definitely looks like it right now. As most of Utopia are huddled behind that one rock. You can see where Mooka, Papa, and Ko are. Shuki's pushed up a long way. He's got to be careful because obviously the Batchat on the hill can hurt him, but obviously there's shots to come in response from that Batchat making a move off the hill as well. So he's conditionally safe, I'll say. Now, Utopia pushing across here, straight across the face here, trying to get some shots in, but they take so much damage. Desha getting completely hammered, and Pavel manages to pick up Mooka as well. This is going to be a quick one, Oliver. 4 tanks left versus 7. Wombats are taking a lot of damage here, but they have the guns to use. Karitz takes down Papa. Bishu and Wicked are there as well. Breakneck is a one-shot on the hill, but he's still be able to put damage towards him. Neither of those objects are looking at him at all, and Wombats are going to win this brawl pretty handily.
I think so as well, but Breakneck just gets lucky there. He's on reload, so I don't really have to worry about him. 2 versus 6. So as you mentioned, only Kusuk falling down. Breakneck a one-shot, Just Cause a one-shot, Coca-Cola almost a one-shot, and yeah, that will be Wombats finally, getting themselves sorted with another brawl. Very logical stuff, going aggressive from the north, and the only thing you could see Utopia doing was trying to get that early exchange onto the hill with Batchat. A
bit funny actually, because the 2 rounds that Wombats and Tanks have won so far have been off the back of this aggressive push, this going for a brawl. Think Prohorovka, they just went straight on in and got them one here. So Bragnik goes up the hill, takes some damage, which you normally expect to happen. 1k is the normal amount. Wombats pushing straight up here. Now, do they just have the better positions? Is it because they're from the north? Should Utopia not even fight this? What is it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they go forwards. They have the hull down tanks here, the Object 140s, the T-54s. And what can Utopia do? They're shooting at hull down tanks, and a lot of damage as well. So yeah, I like that from Wombats. I think, but again, it's nothing spectacular because, again, from the north you get to the middle faster than you do when you drive from the south. So it's logical that Wombats would win this situation. This is any team would win this situation basically. And yeah, I think Breakneck probably my man of the match there. Stays on the hill, stays alive even with 50 HP at the end, and well, doing a decent amount of damage. Well, not too much damage, but he does enough.
In a 54 as well, so can't fault him there. Utopia probably shouldn't have taken that fight in the middle anyway. It's not really in your favour as that team spawning from the southern side, but they went for it anyway, hoping to catch Virtus Pro off guard. And it's not the first time they've gone looking for a fight against them when they were in the disadvantageous position. They did on Prohorovka as well. They made a very obvious L-shaped turn across the map to try and find Virtus.pro where they were and were caught as they pushed in towards them. So not too much to read in there. Despite Virtus.pro looking a little bit shaky, it seems like when it comes down to it, when they need a focus fire, when they actually get that fight, they seem to be fine. You know what I mean? So maybe there's just some other issues there as well outside of that. Maybe just some frustration or communication could be a problem as well. But those fights are the most mechanically intensive and the most communication intensive parts of World of Tanks. So they're doing the hard stuff and it's working out for them. But the slightly easier stuff, it doesn't really seem to be gelling. So not really sure what's going on there as well. It's always interesting to get a bit of a look into the team dynamic, and but we can't really do that, of course, so you just have to make up your own minds. But now we're going to be jumping into our second round, and it's going to be Wombats now defending. Will they push up again? I mean, they got 50 Bs there, 110 E5 for Desher. Get some nice little hold down on the hill. Wombats going all together up towards the hill still.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for another engagement, and there's no other reason why you would do this, to be honest. Wombats going for a bit of damage here, and Shuki only receiving 701, and it's going back and forth between these two teams, but Wombats just aggressive once again.
So the frames on the outside as well, where it's a part of the indication of being spotted, so that might have confused you. Wombats winning this engagement still, maybe not one that they should win, but it's still working out. They're up by a good amount of health points here. They managed to nuke down Wicked, Bishu and Muka really early, and this is just what Wombats can do. Sometimes they don't even really need to go for anything overly complicated strategically. They did the same thing as Utopia did, in a very similar position as Utopia were, but they're just making it work for them there. Says a lot, I think, about a team.
Well, the thing is, you say, I mean, the hard part of World of Tanks is this like nitty-gritty team fights, but for this team, which has been together for so long, it's played so many of these situations, it's actually the more natural, instinctive part. The hard part for them will be thinking about, how do we counter this team? What is this team doing now? What are we going to do, once they do X, Y, and Z? Whereas now on Mines, it's simply like, we're going to go into the middle, we're going to use our superior focus fire, team play, and execution to get the win, and as simple as that.
That's an interesting way to put it. So for a team who already has an established chemistry and established understanding of one another and the way that they play in general,
yeah.
It is actually easy. It's quite natural for them to go for this.
Wombats were very known for their communication, their coordination. They act as one body, which it serves them so well in so many situations. But it's the more like high-level play when you're thinking about how do we actually play this map in terms of our tactics that can struggle with a little bit.
Okay, so obviously while maybe mechanically intensive in general for your average player,
Micro.
Yeah, sure. Even more so than that, thinking on a wider scale or increasing your scope, I guess, of the game and thinking about how to counter someone without actually doing anything. You have to theory craft into your head, I guess, while you're trying to come up with stuff. So interesting stuff, very much so. Another open map for us here. I mean, Steps is not really the map that we always see these aggressive pushes. Normally, after a bit of a build-up, we can, late in the round, maybe, let's just say, Southern spawning team, the attacking team, is going for a cap. We do sometimes see people push into them here as well. More and more, this format seems to lend itself to, it's like, teams are actually almost favouring the option of just going for a fight. I mean, it just seems like they can feel more confident with their lineups as well. It's blind picks, so you see what the opposition team picks, but only after you've chosen your team. So you can almost just look at it and go, we win the brawl here. Let's go.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's what Wombat Tanks is going to be doing. Yesterday, we saw a similar kind of tactic with Tornado Rocks. They went in for the brawls against Synergy, and some of them, they were a bit suspicious. I mean, some of them were just very bad. For instance, Synergy with the 432 just on the hill, getting the shots down to the Tornado Rocks. Like, you can't go in for those kind of exchanges. Yeah. But looking at the lineups, again, Wombats, we've seen them play this map plenty of times. In 754, and we've seen it once in 768, I have, at least. And they've gone for the full Object 140 stack, whereas Utopia with a little bit more of a diverse lineup.
Yeah, well, it definitely looks like it. A bit of a mix. Bat chats are in there. There's STBs and Object 140. So, the same theme, I guess, that, Wombats and Tanks are going for, but the way it works out a little bit different, going for some, tanks with different. Honestly, I like a team that just goes for a stack of tanks. Goes like, we want to do this, and we're going to pick the best tank to do this job, and not just put random other tanks in there. Just keep it simple. You know what I mean? Some teams like throw an E5 in there, throw a IS7 in there. I think that there often is merits for that kind of thing as well. Yep. But when you've got a bunch of medium tanks, and then you're just getting different kinds of mediums and stuff as well, some that can snipe well, some that can fight well, some that can hold down well. Yep. Maybe they're trying to go for more cookie-cutter approach to this one, but I'll always favour a team who has a clear vision for what they want to achieve in that round, a clear strategy, and just takes the tanks that they know will be the very best to help them do that. Steps it is now, of course. I don't really know if we've seen it tonight, but Valley over on the eastern side as well, but most of the fighting happens in the north or close to those capture points, unsurprisingly. And, well, with the Wombats on tanks going with a lot of Object 140s, there might be another fight there as well, or anywhere they can really afford to make it. For Utopia, STBs, Object 140s, and a bat chat with Papa in the 3090.
Yeah, so Wombats just aiming towards that northern side straight away, making some blind shots towards some of the bushes. I mean, this is basically counting Utopia, because they were the team that always put Papa in that bush in C6. Always, every single time. And Wombats is very concerned about that, so immediately they are going to be blind shooting. But Utopia just heading straight through the middle, and obviously Utopia can see where the shots are coming from as they zip across, and in front of them you can see Desher is just aiming across the hill. But, you know, there's another reason why Wombats would take all the 140s. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 140. They're all going to be going the same speed, so the engagement will happen at the same time, as opposed to having an STB slightly slower, less maneuverable, so the time would be slightly off there. So there's a lot of reasons, but yeah, Wombats just setting up super defensively, and Utopia going forwards with a slight hard counter. See if it works out.
It doesn't make sense, you know. Pick an aggressive lineup, then play defensive.
Yeah.
Shooky now, just trying to spot them out. He does see just Coles and Bishop, so they're lit. So Utopia know what they're dealing with here, what they're going to be going into. Wombats have to attack here, so it's possible, and we've seen this from Utopia on Prohorovka, that they just sit back and try and establish the best perimeter that they can, prevent Wombats and tanks from making any move without taking damage.
Yeah, so back Wombats goes. I mean, this is a perfect position if Wombats can go up north. If they can get the Object 140s shooting towards that middle area. Object 140 spotted in the middle as well. Crease is going to just chuck himself up here. Doesn't need any boost. No still position if you want to find yourself a place in random battles or whatever you like playing. Yeah, but this is an Object 140 train, impossible to stop. Utopia, they have to get this information. They have to see where Wombat on tanks are going. They have to know that they're up north and Papa's going to be that man.
Well, he hasn't seen anything yet. I mean, Wombats, if they push all these tanks on towards the cap, they can force an engage here from Utopia. Maybe that's exactly what the Wombats do want. Traces, shots going over a little bit here. Virtus Pro. Wombats aren't aggressively really moving from this position. They've set up here amongst the rocks. So they're giving Utopia, you know, the impression of where they are right now. I mean, they snuck away for the most part. Utopia are only now just really finding out where they all are. And they can sneak onto the cap here as well. It's just Papa in that standard spot. Nothing really should surprise Wombats about that one there. And we see a rotation by Utopia's tanks as well to the south.
Yeah, Kusok versus Papa, though. Papa in big trouble. Papa's going to go down. Very bad decision-making from that man, considering the Wombats' positions. He should have just gone straight across into that trench side and head out there. Rare mistake from Pavian. And, yeah, Utopia now not too far behind, but significantly behind that. Wombats can start forcing their way ahead, and Crete's now in a perfect position. This is very rare that this RU251 position works. We hardly ever see it actually being utilized, but this is a perfect situation for him now, man.
Well, I mean, Wombats have locked Utopia out at their own side of the map, away from their capture point 1. They can just sneak an Object 140 back onto the capture and start it off, and then Utopia have to just engage. They can't peek up, they can't reset. I mean, the cap point number 1 is actually shielded from pretty much the entire south of the map from a hill in front of it. So Utopia have to, you know, change position. Might go towards the valley and go from there. Not a terrible idea, but Breakneck is there. He'll be waiting for them.
Yeah, Breakneck's ready and waiting. And of course, you know, Wombats control of the north. I mean, of course, Wombats not Breakneck on his own there is just not simply good enough. He needs to have more support, more tanks, more people. But I guess if I was Wombats, I'd put a tank up into A3, have it on higher ground to support both the cap, push through the middle, and also Breakneck in that right side. Cap 65 now and ticking down, so a couple of minutes. Breakneck gets taken down with 1 shot, 2 shot, doesn't land on him. But still, Wombats ahead, they're capping, and it's all about Utopia going forwards.
Yeah, Breakneck will back away here as well and maybe rejoin the rest of his team. And look at that. I mean, Shooky just got completely wrecked. I mean, the firing squad is set up by the Object 140s. You can see them there for Wombats on tanks. Mooker's going to come forward as well. He Well, he'll be able to see Bishop maybe if he gets a little bit closer. Shots come in towards him though. The triple taps, no reset from Mooker, not able to actually connect that shot on towards Bishop. It's still going to move Bishop out of the cap because Wombats and Tanks know that they can probably still, get a favourable win here in this trade. Look at that. Mooker takes 2 big hits. He doesn't really want to crest towards Kusok at all, but he's here now. He can spot out a capper at the last moment and help his team get the reset if required. It's more likely that Wombats will probably just try and wipe him off the map here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about 2,000 hit points in front of Wombats and Tanks. Wombats are definitely going to start pushing this advantage forwards, and I'm comfortable watching this kind of play from Wombats. They're looking a lot more confident. They're not messing about. They're just getting it done, and that STV1 right down the south is going to get completely caught underway.
Yeah, I mean, Bishy, there's 2 tanks coming in towards him. There's even a third as well. So Wombats moving a lot of their force over towards him now. They're connecting their shots. It's a lot better to see this, making the right moves, and they've already chunked down Utopia to 4 players here. Mooker is very low, of course. He was the player sent across to try and spot out Bishop, who was capping, and he paid dearly for that as well. So did Utopia on the whole. We can come forward here. Now, he doesn't actually see anything, so he doesn't really know where Wombats are set up here. Breakneck will try and fire towards him. Breakneck is lit, so Wicked might just stop and have a crack at him. Average shooting there from Breakneck as Wicked had stopped. Maybe expected him to keep moving, tried to lead him a bit. Another miss there from Breakneck as Wombats and Tanks are just going to regroup now back towards the north. No cap pressure being applied right now with only 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in this one, or close to that. Breakneck does finally find Wicked, so good work. And the rest of the Wombats and Tanks are now moving back towards their capture point number 1. And now we might see a little bit more of that standard sort of layout for both teams where Utopia can peek up from the valley side. But they've already lost a lot, and they have to commit a lot as well if they want to get spots. Desha is lit. He's looking towards the south for some reason. There's not a lot to see from there. And Mooker as well. He can't really poke. Wicked's low. And they move the tank back on towards the cap. It's Kareed's in the 2-5-1. Povel's there to take shots. So is Breakneck. He's done well considering kind of losing out the trade earlier on. I guess up against Forbidden, maybe? No, maybe Wicked. Either way, he's off to the side. He'll be ready to take shots if he has to. And looks like Wombats are grouping together here. Now, this is an unseen maneuver. So their names are white. So Utopia doesn't actually know that they're grouping together and pushing towards them. They could take him by surprise. But at best, it's a 5v4 for Wombats here. They're going to go into this one. They're charged forward. Wicked low. I mean, they can get some pickoffs here as well. So can't really fault them on that one. They'll try and get the finish on Utopia.
Yeah, I think this is going to be game over. It's Wombats, they'll be able to get the first kill on Wicked. That's going to be 3 tanks only remaining against 6 tanks from Wombats on Tanks. And Desha going to be the next on the chopping board.
Mooker is very low as well. 2 points of health. Desha, a couple shots towards him. Coca-Cola finishes off Mooker. 2 left for Utopia now as well. And it's a stately affair here for Wombats and Tanks. But, business-like as always. They're coming forward and starting to restore our faith in them a little bit more. They played that round quite well, I have to say, after a couple absolute shockers. But Forbidden will drop, and that will be it here. So, match point coming out for Wombats here as well. Going to be on the defensive side here on steps as well. Can't really complain too much about that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a yo-yo right now. My emotions are a yo-yo. I really don't know what to say, of course, about Wombats. Keeping it fresh and keeping it mixed up for us here, so it's very hard.
Exciting, man.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's good. I like the change here as well. I'm still just getting over the shock of those first few rounds here, but that was much more methodical as well. Yep. Didn't take any undue risks as well, like, Kusok pushing in the north on Ruenberg in the 125. Just saying. So it seems like here, yeah. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I'm stuck in a box of emotions
like
right now. That's fine. Well, I don't know. My mum does that as well. My mum's not telling she does that, so I don't even know. But all right, so only 1 tank down there for Wombats on Tanks. I'm never going to get used to saying that. Just Cause as well with 3k damage for the game. Bishop with 3 kills. Kareech did well as well with 1500 there as well. So yeah. More convincing from them. Definitely looked like they had the measure of Utopia in that one here. Now, but what are your thoughts about this next round here? Because Virtus.pro go on the defensive side, which is not by any means the favourable side on steps.
No, I mean, it's a 50-50 map, basically, we saw in the last season. But it seems like, Wombats on Tanks are more comfortable. They're on their stomping grounds, which is steps. They played the end of Season 1 and the beginning of Season 1 very good on this map. So I expect Wombats to now just pick up this round. If I look at that play in that last round, they had an idea of what they want to do. They're playing methodically, as you said, with the positioning of Kareets and 2-5-1, getting the blind shots towards where Utopia sets up a tank a lot. dealing well with the fact that Utopia had pushed through the middle of the bat chats. I think the turning point was when Shukyu in that bat chat got taken down on the cross with a double track from the stack of Object 140 sitting along that ridge line. I think once that happened, that's a significant advantage. No flexibility with that bat chat, no burst damage, and Wombats could just simply close it out. But yeah, match point here for Watt. Kusok back into his artillery piece as they are on the attack, and the rest are playing 140s and breakneck and actually in a bat chat.
Yeah, I mean, mostly though, Wombats on tanks aren't messing around, so still a heavy Object 140 composition to their core. And Utopia, STBs, Object 140s. Again, I think at this point, nothing really surprising. It's Hallucinogen being subbed in here as well, by the looks of things. And the M40, M43, like you said, coming out here for Kusok. So let's jump in and see who's going to come out on top here in this one. Can Wombats on tanks finish this one off at 5-3, or will it go to a tiebreaker map? Anything is possible in this format, like we've seen, and anything is possible when Wombats don't know whether they want to win or lose.
Yeah, true. It's been an odd game so far, but I think two things need to happen if Wombats want to win. First of all, Kusok needs to do his job, and I expect that man will do, as he's very effective. If he misses, it's more because the dice rolls just simply went in against his favour, within the odds, I guess you could say, in World of Tanks. So, yeah, big stack push from Utopia. I think this is going to be a quick round. Breakneck, though, in the bat chat, which is by no means a fast tank, in my opinion. Well, it is a fast tank. It's got a high top speed, like 65 kilometers, 60 kilometers an hour. The problem is the acceleration. Like, if you stop at any time, and also, it doesn't turn fast. It's got a bad traverse speed. An Object 140 is going to close on you. It's going to kill you very quickly. Everyone who plays Batchat knows that, so they always need to think ahead of time or just simply fight your way out of bad situations.
It's that power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
It's only 25 tons, so it's not a super heavy tank, but you can't really scout like you could in, like, I don't know, Panzer 1C, for example, who loses almost no speed for turning. Very, very much a different situation here. Now, on towards the cap do go Utopia, and Shuggy, the only player to really take any damage so far. They have at least 2 tanks on the cap, and now they'll be joined by a third here. So they really want to force Wombats into making a mistake here. And, well, they're going to oblige. They're going to come forward, and they're going to go for the fight here. Hallucinogen is off towards the side in that 30-90, so from that range as well, not the most accurate tank. I don't really know what he can really do. Maybe even go for a cap on point number 1 and keep them busy. But here comes the main pushing. Coca-Cola's lit. And look at this. Utopia might be caught by surprise. The initial fire, though, going fairly evenly. But now, here come the extra shots in towards Shukyu. That was a sitter from Karit. He completely missed that one. He should have had Shukyu off the map already. But now, it just calls us back around the corner. Papa now already down towards half health. Morka getting chucked away as well. And it looks like Wombats on takes. Coming forward now. Getting a lot of damage done. And Mooka just a one-shot. Forbidden gets taken quite low as well. Papa is just teetering on the edge. Wombats and tanks have done it. They've got there in the end. Scared us a little bit here, but this fight seems to be definitely in their favour.
Well, I mean, Kusok just basically one-shot Shukyu, did 1,042 damage in that artillery piece, so fantastic work from him. A perfect situation as well. When you're going in for those openers, you want to have the artillery just to give you a little bit of an edge, or just at least put you on par with the other team. And so, of course, when you're on the move, you have the disadvantage. But yeah, this is going to be game over. 6 tanks remain for Wombats on tanks. Breakneck just takes a lot of damage against Forbidden. Hallucinogen is AMX 1390, and I do feel sorry here for Utopia after 2 easy wins, you could say, on Ruhenberg. A pretty convincing couple of rounds on Prokhorovka. Wombats just wiped the floor with them on steps.
Yeah, definitely seemed like they finally found their stride there as well. On those last few maps, pretty convincing. Went for the fights, backed themselves in them as well. More experienced team, more coordinated. Tough to really break down that round too much more than I guess as we were doing it on the fly there. Wombats on tanks just were more than happy to come forward on that one as well. And they were able to stay undetected for so long. That steps for you. It looks flat. But actually, there's a lot of hills that can break that line of sight.
We could see the turrets of Utopia were pointed towards where Wombats were coming from. But what do you do against a Batchat and 5 and 6 140s and an artillery shot as well? Kusok hit that 700 damage shot going into that fight. So already Wombats has got a target, a tank, which they can go for straight away off the bat and get those successful exchanges. Then, of course, Kusok reloading, so he has that second shot to make, which he also hits for 750 damage. So that's 2 shots already made and, basically a tier 8 tank in terms of HP out of the game. And then you have the directional firepower for Wombats coming in with the Batchat and the Object 140s where, there's so much pressure's being put on Utopia. They didn't know where to aim. Maybe their coordination's off, the focus fire's off, and also the STBs were down below trying to go for the longer game, trying to go for the more drawn-out game, whereas, Wombats, as you could see since Mines, just want to go for those exchanges.
But what part about putting 3 or 4 tanks on that cap says we're going for the long game? It's
it's not the 3 or 4 tanks on the cap. But I mean, if you're going for a capping game 100%, you put 3 hold down tanks on the cap, and you put 4 tanks behind in that where that rock is and that ridgeline is, so you can shoot anything that decides to go for your 140s. And of course, there was nothing really there for Utopia.
Which is my point. Yeah, I mean, like, why are they then wanting to put tanks in the valley? I don't know, strange. Oh, unfortunate there for Utopia, but Wombats on tanks continue their unbeaten records so far. Although getting a little bit close at some points there, they have managed to make it happen. Melly, I guess those that kept themselves behind and supporting Wombats and tanks will be rewarded. But you have to wonder how many people really thought the 5-3 would be the result.
Oh, that's a very good question.
It's not one you have to answer right now.
I can answer it right away. Well, quite a few, surprisingly. Well, yeah, almost. Let's do the math. Oh, math on air.
So we won't correct you if you're wrong, so that's fine.
15.8%, roughly.
Really?
Yeah.
0.8%.
Yeah.
That's incredible mental.
Just round it up 16%.
16%. Done.
No, that's too much. No, quite a few people, actually.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Would you have thought that?
Oh, it's possible. I mean, 5-3 is always a bit of a middle of the road score. It's like 2 teams that are reasonably.
Like if you're out of ideas, I guess
5-3 is like probably the score we'll see the most in 768.
That's like that middle of the road, standard as heck kind of scoreline between 2 teams that are reasonably evenly matched, but one has a slight advantage.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too shocked. It's probably one that we expect to see some more people vote for. But I mean, we're at the end of the show, at the end of the Super Week. I'm a little bit sad almost. Yes. I'm going to go home and cough my guts up after this. But of course, 12 games down as well. We've all been treated to some fantastic action over this week.
Absolutely. I really want to thank you guys at home for getting involved so much in our votes, in our discussion on Twitter, and also in Twitch chat. A big thank you to you, and it's been a pleasure.
Well, I think that could be echoed from us as well. Before we go, let's recap the scores of the day and give you guys a bit of an idea of exactly what we have seen coming up to this point. We started off with a 5-0, but the rest of the games didn't really go that way, did they, Oliver?
No, they're pretty close. I think Oops deserved that win against Drunk Siema. Drunk Siema just seemed to be really passive, didn't really know what to do. When they did go forwards, to be fair to them, they took a round, so, impressive stuff from them. But I think Oops deserved that win for sure. By the way, that's not their logo. That's not actually a logo. That's just a logo we threw together before they do complete their shiny, brand new, good-looking logos at some point in the future, the next couple of weeks. Wombats Utopia, I mean, after Rurenberg, shaky Prokhorovka, Wombats got their act together with 4 rounds in a row on steps and Mines to win against Utopia. I don't think Utopia can be too upset by that. I mean, it's again one of those matches where you don't really expect to win.
Well, there you have it. There are 3 games, 3 results, and definitely some highs and lows, some exciting moments, and some more calculated points, I think, throughout these games. That's the end of the Super Week, ladies and gentlemen. It's been so good to have you guys with us. And if you have joined us for all 4 days, A, I'm sorry, and B, it's been good to have you along. Anyway, let's have a look towards next week. We're going to be back on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. CET. Going to be kicking it off with Ding versus Out of Range. Yeah, that's going to be a good game. The Polish team against Ding, who's not had the greatest start to their season. It's been okay, but they need to get themselves up. Kazaku, though, at Knickerport, I'm not sure. I mean, let's be honest, KB's been great this season so far. 2 wins on the belt, 5 points in total. Kazler with also 2 convincing rounds, 6 points. That's going to be a good game. And, Tornado Rocks versus Penta Sports, again, another very great game. 2 proven teams. Penta will be wanting to shake off some of that first match week blues with a convincing win against Tornado Rocks, who, to be honest, were pretty weak against Synergy. Well, I mean, it won't be an easy task for them. I feel Tornado Rocks are still Tornado Rocks, even if they're kind of going for some crazy stuff. But that's about all for us here, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of myself and the rest of the team here, it's been a fantastic Super Week. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. CET. Be there or be square. Good night.